On March 6, 1981, in room 157 of the Lübeck District Court, 31-year-old Marianne Bachmeier pulled a hidden Beretta 70 pistol from her coat and aimed it at Klaus Grabowski, a man sitting just a few feet away. In full view of the courtroom, she fired 7 shots, hitting him 6 times and killing him instantly. Marianne offered no resistance during her arrest, simply stating, "I'm glad the pig is dead. I wanted to kill him." This act of vigilante justice captured Germany's attention and divided public opinion. What would lead a grieving mother to commit such an act in broad daylight during a court session? To understand, one must delve into Marianne's troubled life and the tragic events leading up to the shooting. Marianne Bachmeier was born on June 3, 1950, in Starstedt, West Germany. Her upbringing was far from pleasant. Her father, a former Waffen-SS soldier, was an authoritarian figure who spent his evenings drinking and often argued with her mother. The toxic environment prompted Marianne to leave home at 15. At 16, Marianne became pregnant with her first child, who was placed for adoption after birth. 2 years later, she became pregnant again and intended to keep the child. However, after being assaulted shortly before the birth, she felt unable to cope emotionally and gave the baby up for adoption. By 1972, Marianne was 22 and working in a Lübeck bar. She began dating the manager, Christian Berthold, a hippie type, and the relationship was tumultuous, marked by public arguments and infidelity. That year, Marianne became pregnant again. Determined to keep her third child, she gave birth to Anna in November 1972. To ensure she wouldn't have more children, she underwent sterilization. Raising Anna was not easy. Marianne's late nights at the bar and chaotic personal life strained their relationship. Despite this, she managed to keep Anna with her. Anna, a free-spirited and lively child, often slept behind the bar while Marianne worked. However unconventional her upbringing, those who knew Anna described her as mostly happy. On May 5, 1980, 7-year-old Anna skipped school after an argument with her mother. She went to a friend's house to play, but found the friend wasn't home. Instead, Anna spent the day playing outside. A neighbor, 35-year-old Klaus Grabowski, lured Anna into his home by inviting her to see his cat. She never returned. Grabowski strangled Anna using his girlfriend's tights and stuffed her body into a cardboard box, later discarding it by a canal. That evening, he confessed to his girlfriend, who immediately went to the police. Grabowski was arrested, and Anna's body was recovered. Grabowski was a convicted pedophile with a horrifying history. Years earlier, he had been convicted of sexually abusing 2 young girls. As part of his punishment, he underwent chemical castration in 1976. However, he later sought hormone therapy to reverse the procedure, claiming he could no longer live without his masculinity. A psychologist warned that Grabowski's urges were addictive, but the justice system approved his treatment. In addition to his past convictions, Grabowski had attempted to strangle another young girl, though she escaped. For this, he was charged with attempted murder and placed on probation. Despite these red flags, he remained free to harm again. During his interrogation, Grabowski claimed that Anna had threatened to accuse him of abuse unless he gave her 5 Deutschmarks. Fearing arrest due to his criminal record, he said he killed her to protect himself. This appalling excuse would later form the basis of his defense in court. The months leading up to Grabowski's trial were torturous for Marianne. She was overwhelmed by guilt, grief, and anger. Friends described her as inconsolable, often breaking down in public. The thought of hearing Grabowski's version of events, in which he planned to blame Anna for her own murder, pushed Marianne to the edge. She obtained a handgun, a Beretta 70, and practiced shooting in the bar's cellar. On the 3rd day of the trial, when Grabowski was scheduled to testify, she smuggled the weapon into the courtroom inside her coat. As Grabowski sat down, she walked up behind him and fired 7 shots, killing him instantly. Marianne's actions sparked a media frenzy. Vigilante justice of this nature was unheard of in Germany, and public opinion was deeply divided. Many sympathized with Marianne, believing the justice system had failed to protect her daughter. They saw her as a grieving mother who had done what anyone in her position might have done. Others condemned her actions, arguing that society could not condone murder, no matter the circumstances. Dubbed the Revenge Mother by the press, Marianne became a national sensation. Her face appeared on magazine covers, newspapers, and television. Supporters sent her letters, flowers, and gifts. A defense fund was established to cover her legal expenses. Marianne spent 15 months in a secure psychological facility before her trial. Prosecutors sought to prove that the killing was premeditated, charging her with first-degree murder. They argued that she had planned the act meticulously and was an unfit mother who had allowed Anna to roam unsupervised. The trial captivated the nation. Marianne, an articulate and striking woman, argued that she brought the gun for self-defense and that the shooting was a spontaneous act of emotional distress. The judge ultimately ruled that the killing was manslaughter rather than murder, sentencing her to 6 years in prison. Marianne served 3 years before being released. Following her release, Marianne Bachmeier sought a new start away from the media spotlight. She remarried and moved abroad, first to Nigeria and later to Italy, where she worked in a hospice caring for terminally ill patients. Her life in exile marked a departure from the intense scrutiny she faced in Germany, though she remained a polarizing figure. Back in Germany, Marianne's story continued to spark debate. Some viewed her as a tragic heroine, a grieving mother who acted out of love and despair when the justice system failed her. Others criticized her, arguing that her actions set a dangerous precedent and undermined the rule of law. Nonetheless, her story resonated with many who had lost faith in the judiciary's ability to protect the vulnerable. In interviews, Marianne expressed mixed feelings about her actions. She acknowledged the pain and suffering caused by Anna's death, but maintained that she felt driven to act when faced with the prospect of hearing Grabowski's defense. "I couldn't let him slander my child," she said in a rare interview years later. Marianne's story inspired 2 films in 1984, Anna's Mother and No Time for Tears. Decades later, clips from the latter were mistakenly circulated as actual footage of the courtroom shooting. The public's fascination with her story endured, with Marianne often depicted as both a symbol of maternal vengeance and a cautionary figure. In 1996, Marianne Bachmeier passed away from pancreatic cancer at the age of 46. She was buried alongside her daughter Anna in Lübeck's Bergtor Cemetery. Her grave became a place of reflection for those who saw her as a tragic figure caught in unimaginable circumstances. The story of Marianne Bachmeier raises profound questions about justice, morality, and the limits of human endurance.